Hello there, class. Well, today we are going to be going over the homework that I believe you did from last Thursday. And so for these first 6 problems, we need to solve each equation. And so, in order to do that, we are going to get the variable alone on a side. And to do that, first we're going to do the arithmetic. And so on number 1, we're going to subtract by 1 on both sides. So then you're going to be left with 3x equals 9. And then now to get the x alone, we need to do the opposite of the number with the x. And so it's 3 multiplying by x. So to do this, we need to take the opposite sign, which is divide by 3 to both sides. And so x is going to equal 3. We're going to do the same thing for number 2. And so since this sign is -3, we are going to add it to both sides. And so we'll have 8n equals a -2 since -5 plus 3. So if we go to a number line and we say that it's at -5, and then we add 3, so we jump 3 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, and that'll be at -4, -3, -2. And then now, we need the variable by itself, so we divide by the 8 on both sides. And so it's a fraction, as you can see, since -2 divided by 8 will be in decimal form, so we're just going to leave it into a fraction. And since we see that we can simplify it, we divide them each by 2, and so it'll be -1 over 4. So -1/4 is what n equals. Now moving on to number 3, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to add this 6 to both sides. Since it's being subtracted on this side, we want to do the opposite sign. So then we have 4h equals 28. We want to get h alone, so we're going to divide that by 4. And so h is going to equal 7. Moving on to number 4, we're going to do the same thing that we just have always been doing. We're going to do the arithmetic first, so we need to subtract 1 to both sides. And so -8s equals 32, since 33 minus 1 is 32. And then we're going to divide by a -8. Now remember, when you have a positive and a negative with multiplying or dividing, you know that you're going to have a negative number. Just like if you have a negative or a negative, you're going to have a positive number. So with this, s is going to equal a -4. Since it's being positive divided by a negative. Now to 5, we're going to do the arithmetic first, where we add 4. Since it's being subtracted on this side, we want to add it to both sides. So we'll have -4w equals 12. And we want to get w by itself, so we divide by 4 to both sides. And just like with number 4, a positive divided by a negative is going to get you a negative number, so w is going to equal -3. Now even if it was -12 divided by a positive 4, that's still going to get you a negative number since it's a positive with a negative. Now with 6, it looks like we have a fraction that we're going to have to deal with. But first you still want to do with the arithmetic. So you take -5 minus 5 to both sides. So we'll have 1/7 b equals, and -2 minus a 5. Here we'll make a quick little number line. So here's 0, -1, -2. Now we want to minus 5 from this, so we're going to jump 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so there would be -3, -4, -5, -6, and -7. So we're going to have 1/7 b equals a negative 7. Now for this, dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal, which a reciprocal is where you just flip the numerator and denominator. So in this case, it's going to be 7 in the numerator over the 1 in the denominator. And so we can cross those out since they cancel each other, and then multiply this by 7 over 1. Now that is going to get you negative 49 over 1, which that's just saying negative 49 divided by a 1, which is negative 49. So B is going to equal negative 49. So now moving on to the word problem. Cristiano is saving money to buy a bike that costs $189. He has saved $99 so far. He plans on saving $10 each week. In how many weeks will he have enough money to buy the bike? And so for a little strategy that I do usually with word problems is I point out the important numbers in a word problem, so that'll help me. So like the bike costs $189. He saved $99 so far, and he plans on saving $10 each week. And so for this, there's many ways that you can solve it. I think they want you to write an equation for this problem and then solve it. And so we know that the total is going to equal 189. And he has 99 so far. And so how do we write that he's saving $10 each week? Well, the number of weeks is what we're trying to find, and so we'll represent as the variable w. So we don't know what that number is, but we know that each week he's saving $10. So we'll put the 10, because the 10 times whatever number of week is going to get you how much total he's going to save. And so in order to solve this, we're going to do just exactly what we did above. So we're going to subtract 99 from both sides. And so that is going to get you 10w equals 90 since, that's a 0. Since 9 minus 9 equals 0, then you need to get that one and bring the 100 to bring it into so that there's 18 tens minus 9 tens, which is going to get you 9. And then you'll need to get w alone, so you need to divide by 10 on both sides. And so w equals 9. So it's going to take him 9 weeks to save enough money to buy the bike that he wants. Now moving on to the next section of problems. So we're going to solve the equation, but this time it looks like we are going to be dealing with decimal numbers. And so for this, we're going to do the exact same thing where we do the arithmetic first. So we add the 3.1 to both sides. Now we need to make sure that with these decimals that we need to line up the place values so that we're adding them correctly. And so for this, we need to make sure that you do the 7 to the 1 so that it'll be 8 point, and then 1 plus 3 equals 4. And so we'll have 2r equals 4.8 divided by 2 to get that r alone, so that those cross out. And so r is going to equal 2.4. Now for number 9, since we're adding the 3.5, we want to subtract it from both sides so that that cancels out. And then you're going to get 4t equals 9, since 12.5 minus 3.5 equals 9. And then divide by 4 on each side. And now I'm sure you can leave the t equals 9 over 4 in a fraction, but since we are dealing with decimals, maybe convert it into a decimal. So take 9 divided by 4 and that is going to get you 2.25. Now for 10, we're going to do something similar to number 8, where we add 5.5 on both sides. Since we're originally subtracting it, we want to do the opposite side sign. And so 10.1 plus 5.5 is going to get you a 15.6. Since that's canceled out, we just have 8m on this side. So we take 8 and divide it on both sides. And so m is going to equal, we want to get the decimal form, and it's going to be 1.95 cents. 15.6 divided by 8 will get you that. And I don't believe you had to do number 11, so we'll move on to your next worksheet. So for this worksheet, we need to solve each equation just like we did on our last one. And in 16, you can see the example and the process that you should be completing while doing these problems. And so for 17, the first one that you completed, we're going to subtract 1 from both sides. We do that because we want to do the opposite sign. And so we have 6m, and that crosses out, equals, and negative 23 minus 1. So on the number line, we want to go more negative, so we'll be at negative 24. We want to get m alone, so we divide by 6 to both sides. And m equals a negative number, because remember, a negative divided by a positive is going to keep you at a negative. And so it will be m equals negative 4. For 18, we're going to want to be doing the same thing by subtracting the 5 from both sides, since it is positive on that one side, and we want to do the opposite sign. So we're left with 4d equals 32. And we'll want to get d by itself, so divide by 4 on both sides. And so d equals 8. Now for 19, we're going to do the same thing where we subtract 3 from both sides. So we get negative 7y equals, and this is going to give us a negative 28, since we are taking away 3 from negative 25. So we're not adding, we're not going this way. We want to take away, so take away 3. 1, 2, 3. That'll get you to negative 28. And we're dividing by negative 7 from both sides, so that y is alone. Now look at here, negative and a negative. And what can you tell me about dividing a negative by a negative? Is it going to be negative or positive? If you said positive, you're right. And so we are going to get a positive 4. Now on to 20 and 21. It looks like we have a little bit of fractions to deal with, but I know you all can do that. And so we want to take negative 25 from both sides, so that we get 11/12 b by itself, since that cancels and that gets it to 0. And 47 minus 25, that is going to get you 22. And like on the last worksheet where we divided by the fraction, remember that is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal, which is just flipping the numerator and denominator around. Because see, when you take 12 times 11 and 11 times 12, that's going to get you the same number over the same number, and so that just equals 1. And so 1 times b, that's just going to get you b. And so that's why we want to take it to the other side, so that we just get b alone by that. And so we multiply that by 12 over 11. And that is going to get you 22 times 12 equals 264. And for the bottom, what I always do, I always just put an imaginary 1 over that whole number, and so that I know that it's over 11. And So we're just going to take 264 divided by 11, and that is actually going to get us a whole number, 24. So B equals 24. Here, I'm going to quick erase this part. I'm just going to write B equals 24 over here. So I have a free space over here to do number 21. So the first step we're going to do for this is the arithmetic, which is subtracting 15 from both sides. And so we're going to get negative half. B equals negative 3 minus 15. That is going to get us a negative 18. And so then we're going to divide, but we actually want to multiply by the reciprocal, which is negative 2 over 1. That is going to cross that out. And so multiplying negative 2 over 1. And so that negative 18 times negative 2, a negative times a negative is going to get you a positive. So cross out those negatives, and 18 times 2 equals 36. And that would just be over 1, so it's just plain 36. So B equals a positive 36. Now on to 22. For this one, it costs $7.50 to enter our petting zoo. Each cup of food to feed the animals is $2.50. If you have $12.50, how many cups can you buy? And so like I did in my last one, I want to point out all the important numbers that I may use in my equation. So it costs $7.50 to enter the petting zoo. And then each cup of food to feed the animals is $2.50. And I have a total of $12.50. So that is what my equation is going to equal, because that's the total amount I have. And I just have to pay one fee of $7.50 to enter it. And and each cup of food I buy to feed an animal is going to be $2.50. But I don't know how much money I know how much money I have, but I don't know how many total cups I can buy with the amount I have. So we are going to use that as our variable. And so that is our equation. And now we just need to solve it algebraically. And so we're going to do the same steps as we have for both of these worksheets. We subtract the $7.50, my entry fee, since I need to for sure pay that in order to get into the zoo. And so I have $2.50 per cup equals, so I have a total left of $5, since $7.50 from $12.50 is 5. And so I need to divide by $2.50 on both sides, because that's how much each cup I would pay, or I'd buy, costs. And so we have for each, or for the total number of cups that we can buy of food, it's going to be 2, since 5 divided by $2.50 equals 2. So you can enter the zoo and buy 2 cups of food to feed the animals.